Order of the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, Tuesday, September the 5th, 2017 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Okay. Invocation. Helen, could we ask you to do
Yes.
that, please?
Please stand.
She's good.
Bow your heads. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today and always. And also like to say a little shout out to all the people that are helping in Texas, even the ones that have left Brawley to go help, for the Red Cross, and for all your prayers. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
If everyone would join me in the pledge, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 1 of our agenda is approval of our agenda.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 2 is public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. And is there anybody from the public that would like to come forward? Come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and for the record. Go right up this way.
Kayday Picola, Executive Director of CoLab, and I'm a resident of Brawley. I would like to announce that CoLab will conduct a candidates forum on September 21st here in these facilities for the 4 individuals who are running for the election. Our concern always when you have relatively small elections is the voter turnout, as we saw with the IID election where it was 19.1% turnout. Fortunately or unfortunately, you have the utility user tax on, so I think it will have more attention than if it were just the election, but we want to encourage everyone to learn about the issues and, of course, vote. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public? Please come up.
Good afternoon, Mayor and fellow council members. Maria Peinado, I'm representing the Imperial County Public Health Department. I'm the Public Health Information Officer and also proudly a native of Brawley, raised in Brawley, so I'm very happy to be back. So today I'm coming to just share some information regarding the California Health Interview Survey, CHIS. This is a survey that's conducted and led by UCLA. And it's done every year. It's one of the largest surveys in the nation. It's very important, and it's focused on health and health needs in the community. And so I think it's very important for Brawley City Council members to be aware that this survey is happening. Volunteers are going to be starting knocking on doors this weekend, and that is only to verify phone numbers because this is a telephone survey. Some of our residents should have already received information about the survey, and maybe they have already completed the survey. So I feel it's very important to share this information for the community to open their doors when they get the knock. And again, all they're going to be asked for is their phone number. No other confidential information is going to be gathered. Also, all volunteers and all county employees are going to be visiting households, are going to be having large badges with their identity on them. So there's no misunderstandings about scams or we don't know who these people are. So I included some information. There should be a fact sheet in your packets. There's a news release that was shared last week. So we are really asking for your support and encouraging our community to participate in the survey this year.
Mr. Mayor, I think we could post the information on our city website.
Correct.
And get that information out so people do understand that you're going to be coming around and
We would really
Gathering-
appreciate that.
I think it's
information.
important that the police department knows, because sometimes they'll get calls to see if it is something going on or something unusual happening. And so it's always nice for them to know, and they'll be able to tell the dispatchers, and everybody will be aware of what's happening out there.
Yes, and so it'll go through the month of September. So we're hoping to complete at least 350 surveys this month. If we complete them, we don't need to go further. If we don't, we might need to extend it a little more.
When are they going to start going to the
This
houses?
weekend on Friday, they start this weekend.
Friday.
Have
And-
you, just a suggestion, if you go to the senior center, or let Pat know, but somebody to talk about what they're gonna do, because they have a tendency not to wanna open doors and stuff for people.
Definitely. We're working with a lot of our community groups. I know we're working with the Doggo Society, with some of our community groups to let them know about what's happening in our community. It's very important.
Would a
Thank you.
Nixle bulletin be appropriate for this
we do
as
that?
well?
Could be,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Nixle bulletin?
Nixle for the survey, the upcoming survey.
We can do that
Something we
also.
Thank you so much.
Also,
Oh, go ahead.
timeframes for when they're gonna be knocking on people's doors? Do
They're
we
going to
have-
start this Friday.
No, but I mean, timeframes of
How
what
long?
time
Evenings
period?
and weekends. So
Evenings
it's going to
and
be evenings
weekends.
and weekends because we want to make sure they're home.
Okay.
Another question is, your sample size is like 350 people. Is it spread throughout the city, or is it just?
It's throughout the whole Imperial County, but we're
Okay.
focusing on the north end. We want to
Okay.
get a lot of baseline information, especially for those living near the Salton Sea.
Okay.
So we're really focusing on Nyland, Calapat, Brawley, Westmoreland.
But within the city of Brawley, is there a neighborhood or area you're focused on?
No, it's a
just throughout the
random
community?
sample
Okay.
selected by UCLA. So they
Okay,
randomly
perfect.
selected the households.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the council? The only thing I would suggest is we do have some high school students in the audience, quite a few, from Mr. Flores' civics class. They could spread the word to the high school students that this is maybe happening, and they could talk a little bit about it in class maybe, if that's appropriate. Okay.
I'll give them your phone number if they call me.
Why, they have my
They come
card.
in. Knock on my door.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are we still in public comment?
Yes, we are.
Great. Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the students that one of them came by my office.
State your name for the record,
Oh,
please.
my name is Luis Olmedo. I'm the executive director of Comité Cívico del Valle, and yeah, I'm glad the students are here, starting a new year. Hopefully, they'll fill your room here.
Yeah, looks good.
So wanted just to do a very brief couple updates. One is we have established November 2nd as our Environmental Health Leadership Summit for this year. Many of you have been involved, not all of you, in our annual Environmental Health Leadership Summits. So just for the record, put it on November 2nd. We'll bring you more information and details as to location and the agenda. The other update is on AB 617. Many of you have been very supportive as to our community air monitoring. Mayor, you were there when we launched it in Brawley.
Correct.
We did a whole celebratory launch of our first community monitor. In Imperial, we have 40 monitoring stations that we operate. In the Coachella Valley, we're also adding additional monitors. As a result of the recent governor's proposed legislation and authored by Eduardo Garcia, Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, AB 617 now establishes these low-cost sensor technologies as a new regulatory authority to local air districts. So our local air districts will have a hand in how community monitoring happens here locally, since we already have an established monitoring network. The design here in Imperial is the gold standard per the California Air Resources Board, and you will see this model here replicated throughout California. And so we're pretty proud to bring you that news, given that the city of Brawley has been so supportive over the years with at least the last four years in the establishment of our monitoring. And so thank you very much, and we hope to bring back more information on as this new legislation rolls out, AB 617. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Stella.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, Mayor. My name is Stella Jimenez, Field Representative for Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia in Imperial County. And tonight, I'm just going to provide you with a brief legislative update and where the Assemblyman stands at this point. I know some of you received letters, but I'd like to share it. Session resumed recently after an active summer break. As you may have read, we recently held special weekend office hours where we had over 30 constituents who attended, including 11 formal meetings, and had the opportunity to update local media outlets on our current legislative efforts. Assemblymember Garcia also held a back-to-school supply drive at Raspados Cuchis in El Centro, along with IVROP, where we collected over 40 backpacks and school supplies to benefit foster students grades K through 12. Great success. This year so far, the Assemblyman has already had 5 successful bills signed by Governor Brown, including AB 1653, a vital small business protection measure, and the historic air quality and carbon pollution bill package with AB 398 and AB 617, which establishes a comprehensive statewide program that allows us to achieve our ambitious climate change goals, continue to grow our economy, and improve the overall health and air quality in communities such as ours. Last Thursday, Assemblymember Garcia successfully organized a meeting with Governor Jerry Brown and representatives from our local Salton Sea Authority in a continued effort to increase statewide leadership on Salton Sea mitigation efforts. Currently, there are bills in the legislature that include funding for the mitigation plan as well as bond measures to bring in significant funds. As you know, the bills include our park bond AB 18, SB 615, and now SB 5. This critical Salton Sea bill package establishes both a strategy and funding mechanism to mitigate air quality, public health, threats to ecological habitats, and communities surrounding the Salton Sea. Session reconvened August 21st and will go on its final stretch, wrapping up in mid-September, with over 24 authored and co-authored bills still actively working through the process. And finally, in the fall, Assemblyman Garcia looks forward to visiting City Council meetings throughout the county to provide a full, updated ledge package of the successful legislative endeavors. I'm happy to follow up with any of you if you have any questions at a later time or if you'd like to discuss a bill. I could be reached at 760-355-8656 or via email at stella.jimenez@asm.ca.gov. And then I'm also going to leave behind a few copies of press releases in reference to the recent meeting that took place in Sacramento with Governor Brown. For those of you who weren't able to or didn't get a chance to read it, I'll just leave them there so you can read about what happened in Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jimenez, I have a topic to discuss with you. I'll give you a call tomorrow if you don't
Okay.
mind. And
Yes,
I'll reach
perfect.
out to you. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also mine too. You were checking up on mine, so whenever you get a chance, call me.
So I know where there's 2 of us in the office, there's Christian and myself. And so I want you guys to feel, I know there's times when you feel more comfortable with him, but I want you to know that I'm in the office. I'm a full-time person there. I'm his rep here in the Valley. And there's times when sometimes you go through Christian and maybe it doesn't get answered, or he gives it to me and I think he already replied, and vice versa. So, rest assured that whatever's comes my way, I'll find an answer for it. So yeah, if you can give me a call tomorrow, we can go ahead and discuss that.
Yeah, because I talked to Mr. Garcia, Assemblyman Garcia, and he said that he forwarded it over to you. It's on the building.
8th and G? 8th and G?
No. The
Armory.
Armory.
The armory.
Okay, I know he was looking into that, I want to say, or he had discussed it at a point. We had discussed it, but I will definitely follow up on it tomorrow.
Please.
And I'll look forward to hearing from you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to come forward to discuss anything that's not on the agenda tonight?
Thank you,
I don't see
Alma.
anyone. Okay, then we'll go to item number 3, which is our consent agenda. Items are approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written out.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, any input from the public? No? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, consent agenda approved. Okay, and now we're going to go to item number 4, which is a public hearing. and it's a discussion and potential action to approve implementation of the automated license plate reader, the ALPR program, by the Brawley Police Department.
I like it.
And Commander?
Hey,
would
good
you-
evening, Commander Brent Hauser with the Brawley Police Department. It's a pleasure to stand before you guys this evening. I'll be presenting on the automatic license plate reader. Thankfully, we were able to secure some funding through our Stone Garden federal grants and in partnership with all of our local agencies, able to make an equipment purchase of automatic license plate readers. Kind of the basics of it, it's a small camera that's attached to one of our police cars, and it scans license plates and then compares those plates to a hot list of stolen vehicles or other vehicles associated with crime. So part of the process of this, under the strict guidance of the state, is that we come before our governing board and get their approval with the policy, working with the city attorney, kind of using the SB 34, Senate Bill 34 as a guide. We're able to put together a policy that we think is competent and secure. So we're going to seek your approval on that. One of the conditions also is that we post that for the public onto our website for their review, and obviously be
How
available.
much will it cost the community?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just want to make sure they understood that.
Zero, yes.
Okay. And what is the total cost?
For the entire project, it's $1 million.
Okay. And we have nothing to do with $1 million.
No, other than we are benefiting
That you get
from
your
it.
stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I may clarify, there are no local funds associated with the project. It's a regional project that a pool of funds for all participating agencies are available for. It has no impact on the general fund. The equipment has already been purchased. This is to authorize use and implementation. It has been purchased by the regional entity that is serving in the administrative function.
I just want to make sure the community knows it.
We're
and
not spending
our-
any Brawley,
Yes,
city of
and it's
Brawley.
not coming out of any funds.
It is not a budgeted item
Right.
as part of our agenda because it's a regional project.
Right. Thank you.
And when do you anticipate implementation if approved?
This month.
This month?
Mr. Mayor, just one question before we move on to the public
Yes.
portion for the commander. Can you just share for our edification as well as the public, just the success of how this equipment works? Because I know a lot of other agencies that use this technology, and it's been very successful, I think.
Well, in preparing to kind of ramp up and take a look at this program, we went to some of the other counties in the area. It's highly successful to be able to get that amount of information and compare it to stolen vehicles. Abductions have been thwarted, Amber Alerts. It's been great for finding. It's a lot of profiling, a lot of technical sides of it that are pretty impressive. But to come at this not just as a small agency, but a regional effort is huge. And I think it will be a force multiplier for our community.
How does it work?
Basically, it takes the image of the plate itself and bounces it off of a database that we have of hot plates. So if we have a stolen vehicle here in Brawley, and it alerts down in Calexico, then we would be notified of that. And Calexico PD would notified of that, and we'd be able to apprehend that vehicle.
But is it continuously scanning, or is it just whatever's in front of you? Is that?
It's continuously scanning. So as
Okay.
long as the patrol car's out on the streets, and strategically placed on some of our newer vehicles that we know are going to be out of lock,
Right.
then we're gathering that information.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good. So we have a public hearing, so we'll open this up to public input. So if anyone in the audience and the public would like to comment on this program? No? Okay.
9?
Nine.
Yep, I mean, nine units.
Nine. Very good.
9 units for the city of Brawley?
Yes.
10, Sam likes to read license plates.
No. You're not.
So, just for clarification, so it's scanning, and so if it scans for other violations, small violations, tickets, outstanding tickets, that kind of stuff too, for warrants?
It's anything we've loaded into the hot list, so it's gonna be more of our felony type
Okay.
crimes. But if there's any outstanding warrants on that vehicle or anything we need to do with that vehicle, it will be added to our hot list.
Is the notification pretty much instantaneous, or does
Yes.
it take time for it to go through the system?
No, it's instantaneous, so we should get alerts within our unit itself, so wherever the officer is driving, and also within our communication center.
Well, good.
It might make it a little bit safer for law enforcement and a little bit more efficiency in terms of making your job a little easier.
Without a doubt, be able to be alerted to some of the suspect vehicles,
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good. Anybody from the public? Anybody else that would like to comment on it? What?
You opened it up.
I opened it up. Now if there's no other input, I guess we'll close it. So we'll close the public hearing. And so we need to approve the implementation, so we'll need a motion to approve that implementation.
I make a motion to approve implementation of the automated license plate reader.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay.
Mayor Ketchum, if I may just digress for one moment, I want to note that there are some pending, there's a pending court matter that could affect implementation in the future. It is staff's recommendation to proceed at this time, but it is possible in the future we might be bringing the policy back for adjustments as it pertains to the Public Records Act exemption that's referenced in the policy.
Okay. Okay. We'll just have to be careful with that, and then we'll bring it back if there's a need for an
California
adjustment.
Supreme Court just handed down a decision on the 31st that affects it. But what the Supreme Court said is the data that the system collects is exempt from disclosure under the Public Records Act as it currently works, because there's no way to remove the license plate numbers that the system scans.
Sure.
So it would be a privacy violation to just allow that. But it looks like if they change that, you can remove the plate numbers at some point in the future, that'll probably change.
Okay.
But that's down the line.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council? Any further discussion from the public? If not, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries, okay. Now
you
we'll
very
go.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 5, regular business. 5A is discussion and potential action to award Bales Engineering Contractors a contract in the amount of $1,192,533 for project number 2017-02, Airport Lighting Rehabilitation Project, and authorize an agreement with A&E Consulting Incorporated for construction management services in the amount of $222,745.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Steve Sullivan, Senior Civil Engineer. So the award you have before you is for $1.192 million for construction of the airport lighting project. It's funded at 90% with the FAA grant that was approved last week. We advertised the project back in May, received 4 bids in June, ranging from the 1.19 to 2.5. We feel confident in the contractor and the number. Additionally, we propose to award a construction management contract to AE Consulting to keep them in check on the project in the amount of $222,745. That's also covered at 90% by the same FAA grant. So there's a 10% local match from the airport fund in the amount of $141,528. We are also going to apply for a Caltrans matching grant, which can be up to 5% of the FAA grant. So that amount could be, if we're successful in getting it, $63,687.50, which reduces our cost to $77,840.50. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the council?
Just as an item of note, this was the action item required last week at the special meeting to accept the award of funds from the FAA, and staff was great at concurrently running the bidding process as well, so we have been able to kind of make the most of the summer months going out to bid for this project and hopefully realizing the improvements sooner rather than later at our airport.
And the match comes from an airport fund? From the
Correct.
airport funding?
The 10% max, but very likely a 5% if we're successful with our Caltrans application.
Just one comment, observation. Just the low bid and the high bid. The high bid is well over double the amount of the low bid, it's $1.3 million. Just curious as to why, I'm not sure, but we don't typically see that big of a spread.
They're probably not familiar with our
Yeah.
dirt,
Yeah.
we're presuming.
Could
They're probably used to rockier soils, whereas ours is a lot easier to dig in, and the majority of the project is digging to
Trenching
set
and
contour.
digging, yeah.
Has the company that we're awarding, have they done any work for us in the past?
I've heard they have done work here, not specifically as
For our-
long as.
Not at our airport, anyway.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And once this passes, when does this begin?
Well, it usually takes a couple weeks to execute the award, then we'll have a pre-construction meeting and decide then when's the best time for the airport, for the contractor, when they would actually move in.
Weather doesn't have anything to do with them, they can just come, you know,
Yeah, but this would be optimal time for, as far as weather.
because it's just the lights.
Yeah, so everything's pretty much off the edge of pavement.
Okay, thank you.
And my only comment is just, I wanted to add also, just again, our gratitude in the work that Public Works continues to do to get these awards. These aren't things to look at and just assume every municipality with an airport gets, there is a level of competency, track record, and delivery that I know puts us in a good position. And I'm going to say it again, that just we have the best municipal airport or public airport in Imperial County, no question. And I do fly in and out of quite a bit of other smaller airports, and I'll put our airport up against just about all of them, most of them. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So this lighting project's a huge deal. I know that with the newer technology in LED, it's really built to last. And everyone knows we have a pretty harsh environment here. So this is something that's going to really work well and look great for many, many years. But folks, these are safety issues, especially at night. I mean, half the time that people are operating in the aviation world do operate at night. So this is a big, big deal and a huge boost. One last thing is, I noticed that we're installing a Precision, a PAPI system. Is that correct? We're
Correct.
upgrading from
Right.
the traditional VASI, which just simply means the approach ends of our airport for the purpose of landing. We're getting the latest, greatest guidance technology installed as part of this. So I'll try to fly more than I usually do in and out of Brawley. So just really good to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? If not, okay. So we will need a motion, right?
I move that we awarded to Bales Engineering Contractors.
I'll second that.
Okay. And are you also making the award to A&E Consulting Incorporated? Are we incorporating both, or do we need to do those separate or both
No, we can do
together?
both.
Okay.
And also for the A&E Consulting Incorporated for construction management services.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I was just second.
Oh, second? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 5B, discussion and potential action to adopt resolution number 2017, resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, amending the 2017-2018 budget to incorporate a list of projects funded by SB 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act. And your backup's on 73 through 77. And Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, so through this California Act, the city was allocated $150,100 for road maintenance, essentially. The first step in the process is adopting resolution. With these list of streets, Public Works proposes 16th, 17th, and 18th Street south between K and Malin. These streets are also in the next LTA phase of paving. So the idea was we were just going to utilize this funding in conjunction with that project. That's about all I got.
And if I can offer a couple of more comments to help us context. So we have our next phase of LTA projects that are planned. We have to get on the books eligible streets for use of these funds by October.
Mid-October, I believe.
And so what we're doing this year is submitting streets that we knew were going to be part of the next phase of construction to be sure that we can actually program them and get them the list of eligible streets before the CTC approved. If we don't hit the October deadline, we miss this year's allocation. This is the pot of funds that were created by the new gas tax. And this will be a value from the point of view of a revenue stream for the life of the tax. So this is our allocation based on our eligibility. And going forward, we will have these funds available to do maintenance projects in our city limits.
Is it an annual allocation?
Yes.
So, okay.
Okay.
So this year, this is the allocation for 2000, this fiscal year,
17, right.
17, 1800.
$150,100. And there's a formula for each of the member agencies. You may recall League of Cities gave us the rundown of how all the agents, the cities and counties in the state of California are allocated.
And this would be approximately a half mile of roads. They'll use a recycled material, is that correct?
Correct.
It's the 16th, 17th, 18th Street, and that's the ones heading from K into the Malin connector. I think those streets do need to be resurfaced, so.
And it'll create other funding opportunities for the LTA bond dollars. Now we
That-
can do
you can-
additional
Now you may be able to
streets
do
that are part
additional
of that next
streets.
phase.
That's a positive, too.
Very good.
Okay.
No, I know it.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion.
You
if
will
there-
make the motion?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to adopt the resolution.
And I'll second.
And there's a second, motion second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve. Okay, item 5C, discussion and potential action to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 2017, ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, amending Chapter 7, Section 7.1 of the Brawley Municipal Code. Chuck?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Chuck Barraza, Fire Chief. What's before you is for the adoption of the 2016 building and fire codes. Not only does it entail the building and just fire, it has to deal with the residential, the electrical, the mechanical, pump, plumbing, so on and so forth. The Building Commission meets every 3 years, and they review the previous 3 years' building codes. And they kind of tweak it a little bit, so to speak. And so we're here to adopt the 2016. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Is this what the fire marshal goes and checks on these?
Yes, so the fire marshal as well as the building inspector, when we do our plan checks, we look at all these codes and make sure that all the new developments, tenant improvements are met with these codes. This is California state law, and we follow that.
Okay, we usually get some input from people potentially setting up businesses because these codes change periodically throughout the course of almost every year or every couple of years, and so.
Every 3 years, the building commission comes back and they take a look at the previous years and kind of tweak it just a little bit.
And these are state codes
These are
that we're dealing
California.
with, although we put them in our municipal code as a part of that, they're still state codes that we have to abide by, and we can't waive or do things of that nature with these, right?
You are correct.
Right.
Did anything stand out to you as a major change or anything?
No, not really. There was a lot of in the green energy portion of it, but other than that, no, nothing significant.
How important is the job of the fire marshal?
Very important, I would say. I mean, it's for safety and health of our residents as well as the building department too. We, any kind of new development that comes in the city, we have to look at these building codes and fire codes and make sure that the construction and tenant improvements are met to these codes. So I would have to say my fire marshal, yeah. It's very important.
Thank you. I was asked that question. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on this? Any discussion from the
Now
public?
they can hear it from you.
No?
Mr. Mayor,
I'll
I'll
entertain a motion.
go ahead and make a motion to adopt the first reading of
Second.
this ordinance.
I'm sorry, I'll second.
I
the
have a
motion.
second. I have a motion, second. Okay, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5D, which is discussion and potential action to approve the resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, appointing of members to the Brawley Airport Commission, the Brawley Planning Commission, and the Imperial Valley Housing Authority. I believe that those were duly advertised as positions. I believe the only persons responding were the incumbent members of each of those commissions and the Housing Authority. And so I would just like to make the motion that we approve the list or the slate of people to be reappointed to those positions.
I second.
Okay, and I have a second. So any input from the public on that? Any further discussion from the council? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Just like-
Congratulations to all the
Congratulations.
the
Like to commend you
reappointments.
guys on a great job and continued
Yes.
success.
Anybody else?
Ditto.
Yeah, thank you very much
They
for
beat
your
me to it,
service.
But I say the same
We
thing.
appreciate
Yes.
that.
Those that are in attendance, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Item 5E, discussion and potential action regarding the sponsorship request for Hidalgo Society's 30th Annual Dia de la Raza on October the 7th of 2017. Page 91 and 93. Okay. Anybody here to present?
Mr. Mayor, unless there's any presentation or discussion, I would like to make a motion to move forward and with our sponsorship of the Hidalgo Society's 30th Annual Dia de la Raza on
It's
October
been
7th.
30 years.
Yeah.
Is there a
At
dollar
what
figure, at what level?
I think it was
Yeah, what
106, was the
Oh, yeah.
part that I
Oh.
read was $160, or was there a
So,
higher level that we're looking at?
the options that are before the council for sponsorship levels are an event sponsorship at 1,500, a wine sponsorship at 300, gold level at 1,000, name recognition at 250, and a table at 500. It has been past practice for the council to consider the purchase of tickets out of
Right,
our special events and sponsorships city council line item. I will also note that there are two events going on this particular
Yes, indeed.
evening, which council may want to consider how to split attendance at two special events. We also have the Boys and Girls Club that staff has been directed to make arrangements for seats as well.
That's a combo auction, right?
Correct.
That's- And it's all in the same,
It's the same
Three
evening.
events on the
I
same
think there's a 1 hour's
evening.
difference.
And
Sure.
then there's another event also
Three events
that's
on the
being
same.
held for Dia de la Raza also on the same
right,
day.
I think so, yeah.
So I'll amend my motion, but just to keep it open for discussion, is if the desire of council is a table, or want to split up, or a purchase of tickets, or?
I think because we're getting, our budget is what, 3,000?
3,000 for the year.
For the year, and
What
I
was
know that-
250?
No, it's.
250
Yeah.
is single name recognition.
Single name
I don't know if we could do
recognition.
Brawley City Council or,
Perhaps we can do single name recognition sponsorship or support, whatever that would be considered, and then any individual tickets to be
That are
purchased for
available.
We could do that,
attendees.
because,
They could just come from more personal budgets, yeah.
Sure.
right, from our,
okay, so you'll let us know.
So 250?
250 for the
Okay.
name recognition.
Okay.
And then if there's specific council attendance requests, that's handled at our individual budget,
Okay.
training budget level. So
Got
that's
it.
my motion.
I'll second that motion.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
I
go
have
to
a
the
motion and a
Hidalgo.
second.
You guys decide where.
Okay.
So we can divide,
Well, we'll figure
You know.
it out.
it's gonna
Take
be,
care,
Okay.
thank you.
Just let him know.
Sounds good?
yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a
Congratulations,
motion.
Mary.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So $250 for name recognition, and then individual tickets will be purchased
Anybody
at the request of
attending.
council members
Gotcha.
from our budget, from
Yep.
our personal budgets. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
I'll recognize you for $250.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Okay.
And I
Okay.
think,
Go
just
ahead.
before I.
Oh, yeah, sure.
On the approval of the resolution 2017, I'm going back a little bit. I know we have several I don't know how many, but that have been on our, like Mr. Bombera, who has been on the Planning Commission for a long time. I think we need to recognize them, you know, for their long-standing members, Mayor. I think
Yes.
that would be something we can consider in doing.
Would you like us to prepare as staff maybe a list of, a summary of all of our currently seated for how many years of service? And maybe we could come up with an increment of it's
That would be a
5 years,
good
10
idea.
years, and then we
Yes.
can come up with a recognition.
I think
Yes,
that
please.
would work, and we might do a little reception or something, or one of our regular meetings
Thank
have a
you.
little reception for them.
Happy to do
I
so.
mean, I think that would be a nice idea. Just
Thank
a
you, Mayor.
recognition. I think Mr. Bombera may have been on there for the last 30 years or so. I'm not sure how many years he has in.
He's the one
I know
that's
it's
been
quite a few. Is it about 30 years? It's a-
30-something.
He said one more
30-something
time,
years.
one more
Right,
time.
right,
Over
yeah.
30.
Okay.
Every
They
year, it's
told me
one more
that
time.
this time, too, yeah.
Like
Okay,
32 or something.
that'll be great. if you
32
could do
years?
that.
Oh, yes.
32 years, so
Wow.
it's on the Planning Commission, okay. Okay, item 5F is discussion and potential action regarding the Brawley Elks Lodge request for alcohol sales and consumption on a city street on Saturday, October the 21st, 2017, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay. And that's 94 to 97, do you have?
Mayor Kutchman, in the backup packet on page 95, we have a letter from Elks Lodge, Brawley Elks Lodge, and this evening we have Mr. Rubalcalva here who may wish to address the council. There's a quick summary of the various types of service that Brawley Elks Lodge offers to the community, and they have a proposed special event on the 21st of October, and I'll hand off to Abe there.
Thank you. Mayor Couchman, members of the council, Abraham Rubalcaba, 603 South Third Street, member of the Elks. Elks have been around here in Brawley for quite some time. We have some buildings that have the elk name. Right here in the corner by the football field, a lot of people don't realize that until that new sign that you guys put there maybe 5, 10, maybe 7 years ago that says Elks Youth Building, but the Elks have been around quite a bit in this community. Last year, the South District, which is made up of lodges in Imperial County, Riverside County, we had a friendly rib cook-off, and the Brawley Lodge won. So with that, we also won we get to host this next one.
You get the privilege of hosting
Yeah.
it. There you go, and closing the street and requesting all these things.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
here we go.
And doing all the work.
This is what
The
happens
little
when
grass
you
area
win.
we have in front, along the lodges isn't wide enough for all these lodges, so we're requesting that area which is on G Street, adjacent to the lodge, up from the plaza down to the alley area right there. That's the part that's usually closed for cattle call. This is a fun event. We're opening it to the public as far as people to come and try the different ribs. Right now, actually, Carlos, which is sharing this event, and Mr. Griggs are at one of our, I think at the 29 Palms Lodge, making sure we have all the participation. So we just need the room to cook, and hopefully we have your support with that. This is, I think, a great community event. We have some other things going on along with that event, but we need your support to be able to continue with this.
I believe there's 10 cities that are going to be participating in this, so it should be quite a bit of people coming into town. They back up their teams very well. So we need to show participation from all of us also, and also volunteers.
Mr. Rubalcaba, are you sure this is not just a large birthday party for yourself?
Is that his birthday?
His birthday.
That's your birthday?
I'm about to check
That's
my
part of it,
notes.
right? Yeah. I'd have to check
I
all
think
that.
so.
Just a question, do you plan to have like a wagon set up to sell the beer on the street, or are you gonna do that
You
under
know,
the
I know
bar?
that it's brought up as selling consumption, but we're actually just looking for consumption. All the sales would be inside.
They're gonna be inside and they can carry it outside, but they
exactly.
won't be selling anything outside
Exactly.
on the street. Okay.
At our bottom bar, not the top.
Okay.
Just for clarification, I just had a question for clarification on where it talks about the Southern District elk lodges, which includes, and it has a listing in various cities, which includes El Centro, but it doesn't include, Calexico doesn't have elk lodge? Is that-
Unfortunately, Calexico lost their lodge a few
disbanded.
years
Oh,
ago.
okay. So it's Brawley and El Centro and Imperial County that are part of this?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Just for clarification, I saw the listing of the cities and
Yeah, just one item of note. The action item before the council is to approve how public property is used. So typically, when council moves forward with an approval, what applies are the city's facility use policies, which means PD, Public Works, and Fire all sign off on the configuration for the event and the logistics. What also comes with that is the assumption that ABC approvals are obtained for any activity involving sales and/or consumption. We don't carry out that piece. That's actually on the holder of the permit, which in this case would be Elks Lodge. We do have typical road closure procedures that we'll be implementing. PD will be working with the event coordinator to ensure that security is in place, the minimum standards for security. And fire will also be involved in being sure that the area can be safely navigated in the event of an incident. Insurance requirements would apply to this scenario as they would for any event that's held on city right-of-way. And other than that, the ABC coordination all occurs it's in the hands of the event convener.
Okay.
Unless there's any other comments.
And they have a history, and we've done this for Cattle Call, we've done this for a couple of other events, so I think for the barbecue sales too and everything, so I think you have a history of this, so I don't see any problem with that. They know they have to adhere to those rules, and so that's what we would hold them to.
Mr. Mayor, unless there's any other comments or questions, I would make a motion to approve the request from the Brawley Elks Lodge.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comment from the public or additional comments from the council? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Brandon.
Happy birthday.
Very good. Okay, now we go to item 6 on our agenda, which is informational reports. And 6A is our monthly staff report for September 2017. And it says Shirley Bonias, but she's not here, our Personal and Risk Management Administrator. And I believe that report is a part of your agenda.
Yep.
And you can kind of read down through there if there's anything. Any comment on Shirley's report?
No, and my apologies. She is out until Thursday, and we placed it under information items for easy access at the
Right.
first meeting of the month. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them on her behalf.
Anyone have any questions on the listing?
Other than we have 2 retirees.
Yes.
Yes, so we have 2 departments that have experienced retirements. The first is Building and Community Development Services, and we have an interim assignment in place as part of a 6-month arrangement. And our planning director, Gordon Gaist, is serving in the role of interim planning and community development services director. And then under, we actually have 3 that are stated in here in one form or another. Parks and Recreation, we have a scheduled retirement of Pat Dorsey, our Parks and Rec director. And as part of the budget process, we talked about an interim oversight position for the second half of the year that'll follow Cattle Call. And then our third position is our interim police chief. Kelly Brown is serving in that capacity, and this fiscal year, we aim to have an interim chief until questions about the utility user tax and future direction is established. So for the time being, these 3 departments will have interim assignments for the lead positions.
Very good. Okay, any other questions? Anybody have anything? Okay, moving right along to 6B, record of building permits for July 2017, prepared by Oscar Escalante, interim building official. And I think those are part of your package also.
Correct, and they're there as information items to help council and public see the building and construction activity in our city limits.
And there's always quite a bit of activity lately, anyway, about 2 pages most of the time that we see. Any discussion, any questions from the council on those? Okay. If not, then we'll go to 6C, U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons correspondence to Mayor Sam Couchman dated August the 14th, 2017, regarding request for proposals for residential recovery services.
Mayor Couchman, this item is included both for the council and community's benefit. The halfway house located at E and 8th Street has an RFP process underway for a future set of services. This next round of contracts that will be established is for a 10-year period. We thought it was a topic that would be of interest to the council. If the city wishes to submit comments, this is the time at which we can do so. Police Chief Kelly Brown did have an opportunity to meet with Working Alternatives personnel this week to talk with them about the future direction. He is available for questions. We did do a quick recap of the number of individuals who are currently under supervision today and how many would be under supervision in the future. And I'll hand off to Chief Brown and let him provide that summary.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Kelly Brown, Chief of Police. I'm open for questions.
Okay.
I would like to hear a little bit of what you saw, what's your feelings about this place?
Having the opportunity to go out there today and meet with the director was kind of the tip of the iceberg. We had done some previous statistical numbers, run those numbers to check out to see exactly how it has impacted the community. And what we found is a staggeringly low number. They don't have the impact that initially we thought they would. And to kind of put it in perspective, about 80% of the calls for service to the location over the last 4 years has all been medical. Of the police departments, the other 20%, we did have some mental health calls for mental health services and 2 disturbances in 4 years, which is unbelievable for a facility of this type. I had the pleasure of going to the facility today with Commander Blackstone, and we were surprised to find that we weren't able to access it without being buzzed in. They have some strict security protocols, and the facility is run very similarly to a jail, if you will. So in speaking with staff, it's our understanding that they currently have 20 staff members versus the 46, I believe it was, residents.
48 residents, 12 supervised.
Thank you.
48, that's a lot. Huh?
I'm sorry?
48 isn't a lot?
Not for a facility that size. And it in the packet, in the letter that was addressed to Mayor Couchman, they're anticipating or asking for a little bit more than that to raise it to about 55 and 15 in-home monitors. So at any given time, the staff has a minimum of 3. It is a co-ed facility, so they do have 1 female and 1 male on staff at all times. And like any other business, they have more staff members during business hours than they do on weekends and evenings.
Chief Brown did share some additional observations that have also come forward in some from different sources. I do want to note, for the council's benefit, that there has been a change in some of the staffing at the facility. So the folks that were part of the original team, you may recall Mr. Barry Rubin coming to the council in previous years, who was the executive director of Working Alternatives, in addition to Chris Almeida and Raul Navarro. These 3 individuals were part of establishing the original location. There has been quite a bit of change in recent times, in the last couple of months, from what I understand. So one of the concerns that I expressed to Chief Brown and would like to share with council as well is we want to be sure we're doing our part to be sure that the past experience is also the future experience, in that we have had very good working relationships with the personnel there. We've developed the downtown detail crew. We have community service happening. We had it today around here on the plaza. There have been some very positive moments along the way, and we hope they continue to be so. So if there are any other concerns or questions you would like staff to pursue, we can present some of those comments on behalf of the city to the program representatives that are referenced in the letter.
Do they normally help with the cattle call, during cattle call events?
There is a cattle call cleanup crew that has been part of After Parade. The relationship that we have is we try to establish regular times of service, so weekly service.
Right.
In practice, what has actually occurred is maybe 15 times a year. They've been able to help the city through any number of community-based projects in the plaza. We always can benefit from the extra hands, but at the program level, they've experienced quite a bit of change. Not the 3 roles that I previously mentioned, but their regular supervisory staff has also changed up quite a bit, and as a result of that, they haven't been able to schedule regularly as we had hoped. But what we do is outfit them with tools and equipment. And what they do is provide us with man hours, and they volunteer to do it to earn the positive points that get them free time at the halfway house. In exchange, we serve them breakfast burritos. And obviously, the cost of this minimal amount of food is far less than wages for lawnmowers, trimmers, folks who are, taking care of weeds in our various plaza properties.
How long was the current contract, the first contract?
I'm sorry I don't have it off the top of my head, but I want to say we have gone through maybe 2-3 year.
I think
Because this
so.
2-3 year
proposal is for
cycles.
10 years.
Correct.
So that's
It's a much longer
That's a
term.
long contract.
Much
I mean, it's
longer
Yes.
term.
One of the
a
things.
little bit scary to me, the 10-year part of it.
I
but-
apologize for interrupting. One of the topics that came up today in my meeting with staff as well is that they are currently in the process of changing their policies and procedures. Policies and procedures. And so I've made myself as well as my staff available to interact with them if they need to change or they need input on those policies and procedures as it pertains to our procedures within the city of Brawley and our police department's response. But the reason I bring that up is because if we're looking at a new 10-year contract and they are changing things, it's something to note.
Yeah. And it might be something we want to make a comment about, that we have some concerns about the length of that
Yes,
contract,
I think
that we
it's
might be
long.
more comfortable with a 5-year contract for their future reference. It doesn't mean they're going to listen to us, which they didn't
But we can
when they
go on
initially
record.
came in, but at least we can go on record that say that we have some concerns with the length of
I think
that
so.
contract.
I think not, the 10 years, I believe it's okay. But there should be a clause in there that says, if we have any problems, we're able to just, give them a 30-day notice and say, this, can't do this anymore, or a year notice, or whatever, some kind of stipulation where we can change it.
I don't think the contract's with us, though.
Yeah, it's
right?
not.
Yeah,
It's
this
not
is-
our contract.
It's just public input. We can give our input, but like.
They
like you said,
rent
yeah,
from a private owner. It's a federal contract with that organization. That we can give them input on it, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure that we can even ask them for the clause, but.
So what is our, what,
It's just for public input.
It's public
For our input, before any applicant, such as Working Alternatives, applies for this award, they have to announce it through a city council, so this is just the announcement of that. But I would say going back several years, when we first were approached by Working Alternatives, we did go through an extensive vetting process, we did get some information, and, I would say, we expressed a lot of the concerns that are expressed here tonight, but it's actually been relatively
good for us.
incident-free,
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
So it has just operated. In fact, many people don't realize exactly what that facility is, and they've commented on how well it looks out there. So, that's another reflection of how things are operating there, so.
I think there was a lot of concerns initially. There were
Initially,
voiced
yeah.
by the
Historically,
community, so
there
just
were a
as,
tremendous amount of concerns, and the
Proven to-
council had a lot of concerns.
Right.
And the public had a lot of concerns at the time that it came about. However, we did express our concerns to them in some ways, they listened to some of them and they did some things with it, but in most cases, we could not stop it. There was some concern about it simply locating in our downtown area, especially in that area of the downtown where we would like to bring that back up to a certain level. But I think overall, that has not been as a major problem for us, as some people might have thought that it might become. And so I don't know that there's much that we can do about it now. I think that we have to look at this. We can raise any kind of concerns that we have with them, and I think that they may listen to us and they may make some minor changes to their operation. But I believe that ultimately it's the federal government's going to make that decision. And that's what ultimately, I think there was some concern in the last year or so that contract might go away and they might move into the El Centro area. Wasn't there some talk that they were going to move, that they might possibly lose their contract and they might go to a different area?
We had discussed it, but I think it was unfounded.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was something that happened, but I think we have some concerns. We'll share those with them. And I think we'd like staff to pick up on that and then maybe talk to each of the council members and get their input on that.
Would council like the letter to be developed under the signature of the mayor?
That's fine.
Yes.
That
And
would
then
be
we'll
great.
say per the discussion at
Right.
on today's date. Okay.
That would be great, and if there are any input from the police department, any input from the fire department, that would be a good thing to get both of those. Just so that we see what's going on out there. If there's a lot of medical calls, we might want to bring that to their attention and say, look, we've had this many medical calls from that facility. We would like some kind of relief from the federal government as to the cost that we incur by those medical calls, if there is any. And so those are just some of the things I'd like, to address. That doesn't sound like police has that much of an impact.
I don't
but-
mind the medical calls, it's any other,
Correct.
the rest, yeah.
Correct. But there is a cost to us, and if they're going to house 55 different people over there, maybe we should talk to them about a cost. We may not get anything from them, but at least we can make it clear to them that there is a cost to the city. Okay?
And due to the proximity of the fire department, Chief, have you noticed anything that would concern any of you at the?
No, initially, it was the concern when they first came in. But other than that, no, they've been very good residents, neighbors.
Okay, because you would know.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Item 6D, applications for alcoholic beverage licenses from several different organizations. We have, this is an informational item from Patty's at the Rock at 132 South Plaza in Brawley, Inferno at 505 Main Street in Brawley, and Fat Boys Kitchen and Catering at 133 East Main Street. That's their name. And those three are applying for the appropriate liquor license through the ABC board, and so.
And for council's awareness, when these licenses are initiated, we have documents that are prepared by the planning department to confirm that the activity is allowed in a particular zoning designation. There's also coordination that takes place with the police department. Data is pulled to support the application. In some cases, based on the issues that arise, these particular licenses may or may not be granted, but it is an ABC decision.
Are the license plates scanned?
So these three are pending licenses. We tried to include them in council's agenda so that council and community see what's on the horizon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So that's information. Any discussion, any questions? Okay. All right. Item number 7 on our agenda is the city treasurer's report. Ruby?
I'm going to work with Eddie on that.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Ruby Walla, Finance Director, City Treasurer. On page 106 of your agenda, you have the June 30, 2017 quarterly investment summary report for the city's positions and investments. We still continue to have 45 positions in CDs. And those rates have been going up as you've seen those constantly. 45 CDs have just been turning as they mature every every time they come up, there's about 5 of them that probably hit within a month, and we just renew the investment and we work with the broker. One correction on the CDs on the second page, I've noted the maturity date on the second one listed as 4/22/17. It's 4/22/22, just to clarify that one. That was a new investment. Basically, one came to term and we purchased a new CD. So I wanted to clarify that. LAIF shows to be slowly climbing versus the 0.27 that we were way back a few years ago. We're at 0.92. Continue with CVB and Sun Community, and then the new information is what we took action on the last week's meeting, was to authorize signers so we can proceed with an investment opportunity with First Imperial Credit Union. And so actually, as of today, worked with them, and the account is now open, so we're looking at depositing, doing the transaction on Friday. It's going to be a $2 million investment, 2 separate CDs, matching what we currently have invested with Sun Community at 1.5%. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Good job.
Good job. Any questions from the council? No? Thank you very much, Ruby.
Thank you.
Okay, then we go to city council member reports. And I will start with Norma.
Well, we had a very short week. We just had a meeting last week, so I really don't have much to report, other than I took a trip to San Diego to get out of the heat, and it was hotter in San Diego than it was here. So I was happy to be back in Brawley.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wharton?
Sir, I'll keep it short as well. I have nothing new to report from the past other than welcome back, and welcome back to school, welcome back to work, I guess, if you took summer vacation. And just looking forward to the annual League of Cities conference next week. So we'll report back when we get back.
Okay.
Just a quick update. Several meetings, but I don't want to report on that. I do just want to thank staff and all those who helped with the networking event. It was a success and a lot of positive feedback. And so we haven't had a regular meeting since that event occurred. So just would like to thank everybody and council, of course, for the support, and city staff for helping out, and of course the Brawley the Brawley Chamber of Commerce for helping promote the event and partnering with us. So thank you, everyone. I'm glad it worked out, and certainly the Desert Review and others who helped promote it and publicize it. So thank you all very much.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Sam and I were volunteering with the Elks. Well, we belong to the Elks, but we gave away between 800 and 900 dictionaries to, normally it's just to the third graders, but we went out to Magnolia and Mulberry, and they have second and third and fourth. So those classes got to get, and it's amazing how these children, you think with all the calculators and all the technology that they have, they wouldn't care about a dictionary, but it was really nice. If you look on Facebook, you'll see some of the faces of these children, and they just loved them. We also went to Oakley, Whitter, Field Swing, Hidalgo, Westmoreland, Calapat, and Nyland, and we distributed the dictionaries out there. And it was very hot. I kind of slowed down at the end and let the guys, I didn't have to carry anything. The gentlemen were gentlemen, and they, between Carlos Rear, Ron Stillman, and Sam, they took all the 800-900 books, they carried them. So it was nice. And I have to thank the schools for allowing us to do that. And next year, we were going to have $1,500 more was donated because of what we're doing. So we will have more backpacks and also more dictionaries to give out. That's it.
Very good. Okay. Thank you very much. Basically, I attended the utility users tax meeting as a private citizen on August 29th at the chamber. Interesting meeting. They did form a committee, and they were actively working on that. I also attended a Wounded Warriors and an award ceremony for Jeremy Schaefer, recognition to him, that occurred at the Stockman's Club with Duncan Hunter Jr., our representative at the federal level, and they presented him with one of his flags, which is the the blue line flag that they celebrate and that he makes for different fundraisers, and they presented him one of those that had been in the Capitol building. And so that was a very nice experience. And the Wounded Warriors came down, yeah, you can see it right there. The Wounded Warriors came down for a dove hunt, and they had all the Wounded Warriors there for a dinner and a celebration and things for them. And it was a really nice event, and a lot of our police department were present, the chief, the commander, Hauser, and many of the officers were there, and I think that they did enjoy the event. So it was a well-attended event. Several local families put that on, and I thought it went really, really well at the Stockman's Club. And we did the dictionaries with Helen, and it was a short time from the last meeting, so there wasn't too much else to report, but the children do enjoy the dictionaries, and it's my pleasure to do that. Helen went to a lot more places than I did. I only got to the Brawley schools, but I think Helen went with them to quite a few of the other schools, and it's surprising how the kids really do enjoy receiving a book. Even though we have all the electronics and all the computers, there's something about a book that the children do enjoy when they're in the third grade. They also think that the mayor and the mayor pro tem is a big deal when they're in the third grade. That they give you a lot of credit for being the mayor and the mayor pro tem. So they did enjoy our visit. So, and with that, that's all I have to report. Thank you all very much. City managers report. Okay, nothing. City attorney's report.
We'll save it for closed session.
Okay. City clerk's report.
I was going to remind you of the candidates forum
Okay.
scheduled for September.
So we've got that, okay. And I think there's a play coming up too, also.
The 22nd, September 22nd.
September 22nd is a play, and I think some of us will probably be attending that.
think, yeah,
So
I signed up for
that's a fundraiser for the
For
NOCA,
NOCA.
for NOCA.
And we may have a future
Yeah.
presentation to the council on that topic.
Okay.
next meeting.
And with that, we will go into our closed session. We'll take a brief 2 or 3 minute break and then go into our closed session. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate your attendance. Thank you all, the staff.